Hey everybody, it's Robert McFadden. It's my pleasure to be with you tonight on tonight's In the Know. I have a special guest with us tonight, Miss Courtney Epps, who is not only an author, not only a mother of six, not only a business owner herself, but a small business guru, a tax expert, and all around generally awesome personality and lady. So that is going to be very fun, and I will get to her shortly. She has got, we're going to do interview style tonight, as opposed to excuse me, as opposed to doing, a slide deck. I'm just gonna ask her a bunch of questions. I have prepped a bunch of questions, and she doesn't know what I'm gonna ask her, but I'm sure she could probably guess what I would ask. But we're gonna go ahead and do interview style after I get through some recognition and some announcements. So if you'll give me just a second, I would like to, as is customary, recognize those that have rank advanced this week. And so we'll start out with our consultant 40s, and I wanted to say congratulations to a fairly good sized list of consultant 40s this week. Tamaria Trinice out of Temple, Texas, Shauna Myers out of Blaine, Minnesota, Sandra Tomasovic out of Los Angeles, California, Roberta Maston out of Wayne, New Jersey, Robert Stenberg out of Duluth, Minnesota, Rebecca Lloyd out of Point Pleasant, New Jersey, Pete Manley out of Sterling, Kansas, Mark Chappell Lakin out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, Kim Adams out of Denton, Texas, Jody Mayo out of Royce City, Texas, Gloria Rodriguez out of Helotes, Texas, Gloria Argul out of Bayonne, New Jersey, Donald Stratton Jr. out of Topeka, Kansas, Corey Carroll out of Jay, Oklahoma, and Amina Hamilton out of Bethesda, Maryland. That is our crew for Consultant 40s this week. Congratulations to you guys and gals. And here is our Consultant 80s for this week. Valerie Sweat out of Leominster, Mass. Sarah Lander out of Midlothian, Texas. Ryan Takau out of San Antonio, Texas. Richard Weldon out of Gardner, Massachusetts. Reagan Allen out of Enid, Oklahoma. Melissa Thunder out of Cloquet, Minnesota. Matt Pruitt out of Georgetown, Texas. Matt Ginta out of Townsend, Massachusetts. Kay Costwaite out of Ocean Springs, Mississippi. MS, Mississippi. I'm going to go with Mississippi. I think MS is Mississippi. Crazy if that's not. John Kendrick out of Tyler, Texas. Jacob Sereno Jones out of Cedar Hill, Texas. DR out of Sarasota, Florida. Dawn Andreezy Galaviz out of McKinney, Texas. Dana Miller out of Fruitland, Iowa. Brandy Sloan out of Flower Mound, Texas. Ashley Hilton out of Benton, Arkansas. And Amy Castillo out of Plano, Texas. Congratulations to our Consultant 80s. You guys did a great job. Our Promoter 160s, DR out of Shavertown, Pennsylvania. Chris King out of Rockwall, Texas. Chelsea Trowick out of Midlothian, Texas. Now for our Promoter 320, our congratulations to our Promoter 160s. The reason that's a great rank is because that rank is what starts earning you your weekly base pay as a pro member. So at a P160, your services are paid for. Excellent. Now our Promoter 320s, Quentin Farr out of Huntsville, Texas, and Nolan Davis out of League City, Texas. Congratulations to you, gentlemen, for hitting Promoter 320, and I know that they are just cruising. They're going to be pace setters in no time. And then our big promotion for the week, actual paid as, because we had a couple of other bigger ones, but they're just real time, which means they have not been paid as yet. So we'll recognize them probably on next week. Kathy Kulhanik Miggy. She just reached Promoter 650 out of Bryan, Texas. And congratulations to her sponsor, Whitney Johns. So very, very, very good week for some good rank advancements. Congratulations to our fast track earners. We had 6 fast track earners this week. Now, the reason that fast tracks are important is because now you're starting to see duplication. This is what makes the entire P160 wheel work, is when people are teaching other people to go out and get their fast track bonus. So congratulations to Roberta Maston out of Wayne, New Jersey, and her sponsor, Bianca Grand. Rachel Harden out of Frisco, Texas, and her sponsor, Shauna Brunson. Jorge O'Connor, or George, I don't know how. Let's go with George. O'Connor out of Gardner, Massachusetts, and his sponsor, Lucas Perla. Congratulations to Heather Thompson out of Noonan, Georgia, and her sponsor, Jennifer Fry. Daniel Fell out of Medham, New Jersey, and his sponsor, Walter Bender. And Beth Romanowski out of Shaverton, Pennsylvania, and her sponsor, Cassidy Hewitt. So congratulations to that crew and their sponsors for teaching duplication, earning their bonuses and teaching duplication. Now, I have the Viv CSO update. I like to update these even though we're not actually going in July like we intended. This group have a future trip in the bag already with Viv. Congratulations to Whitney Johns, Nolan Davis, Jennifer Fry, Quentin Farr. Quentin, you're only a couple bills away, but you're close enough that I'm going to recognize you because you're going to hit it in the next day. Mallory Meredith, Honesty Harless, Shauna Brunson, and Don Andrezi Galaviz. You're one consultant short, but you got plenty of bills and plenty of other stuff. So sponsor one consultant, Don, and consider yourself recognized for earning a future trip with Viv. So that crew is there or within one, either a couple of bills or one sponsor away. Now here is I want to do our honorable mentions because I just want you to see how big this list has gotten. When I say honorable mention, these are the people that I fully expect to qualify. They have until May 3rd. So they literally have another month, and they're not far away at all. So I just need to see a little bit of, most of these are just a little bit of action on the bill side, but some of them are just one consultant away and a few bills. Jerry and Kelly Zink, Marie Morgan Green, Jay Ray, Chris King, Heather Thompson, Madison Del Maso, Sherry Spalding, Kathy Kulhanik-Miggy, Kelly Mursky, Carl Terrell Jr., Carl Terrell, Audrey White, Ryan Takau, Brittany Nolan, Clint Brinkley, Herb Skinner, Robert Hooks, Rochelle Summerall, Verna Bruner, and Matthew Morgan, and Tracy Brown. So a few of those that I just recently mentioned are over halfway. They need to sponsor a couple, but there's no reason that group isn't in like Flynn. Now, just so you know, Don Andrezi Galaviz is only one consultant away and has never been on a previous announcement or a previous list that I can remember. So coming out of the blue there, and that's great. Congratulations to you. So last thing before I get Courtney on here is our Spring is in the Air. Guess what? We already have our first 2 earners in Spring is in the Air. We're literally a week in, and Nolan Davis and Whitney Johns have both earned their first $250 block, both for sponsorship. Nolan in the last week has sponsored 6 pro members, so he sponsors 2 more, and he's got 8. He's earned another $250 for a total of $500. And so it's really great to see. I mean, it's great to see it. I love it. You guys are crushing it. And that's what this business is all about. It's simple duplication, teach and repeat. All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring on my special guest. It is 7:40. I told her to be ready at 7:40, and look at that. Here we are, spot on the money. All right, my friend, go ahead and unmute yourself. And I would like to bring you on, and I'm going to do just I'm going to go off the cuff, and I'm going to introduce you. I did a little bit about you in the beginning, but I've learned a lot about this gal in the past, when did we meet? About 6 months ago?
We met last April at the BankaCon.
Has it literally been a year already?
Almost, yes. It's crazy.
Wow.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing because Wells's birthday was maybe it was June. It was June. Wells's birthday, my son's birthday.
Got it. June, BankaCon. Yes.
Yeah.
So Courtney and I were both invited to speak at BankaCon last year, which was Sherry Tree and Esther Willenberg. They have a company called Bank, and phenomenal human beings. They're lovely people. And by the way, congratulations to you both. I hear they're about ready to have a baby.
Yes.
So we met in Vegas. So Courtney's and our story will forever be, yeah, we met in Vegas on one crazy weekend.
Exactly.
Which the truth is less impressive than the story, but the story is still true, if that makes sense. I was so impressed with the message that she had delivered, and then I was on a panel as well. And anyway, you came up to me and you said, you stood right in front of me, and you're all but 4 foot nothing, right? I mean, I know you're taller than that, but you are a large personality in a very small body. And you stood right in front of me and you said, we have to work together. Yeah. And that's how the relationship started. And I was already enamored with your presentation anyway. And I saw you had a booth and you had your book, and you had a lot of really great things going for you. And I was just really impressed that you had the moxie to walk up and say, listen, we need to work together. And here we are. So Viv has adopted Courtney as a vendor, and Courtney got such a great value proposition. She is working with the who's who in relationship marketing. Courtney works with Eric Worre. She just did an event with Ray Higdon, and within 2 hours, they had 55,000 views on the video that they did together. And which I don't even know how many it is now. Have you checked?
110 or something like that.
110,000 views on a video. So Courtney is busy and has great exposure, and it's because the power of her message. The reason that her message resonates is because there are 2 tax codes in the US. And this is the one thing that she taught at BankaCon that really resonated with me, and was one of the reasons why I wanted to meet her. And it was so serendipitous, is she stood up on stage and she said, well, I'll let you do it. I don't need to explain it, but explain really quickly, if you would, the 2 tax codes, and why is it that a home-based business owner can get the same tax deductions as an Amazon or a Walmart?
So the biggest thing, and most people, think that, there's a tax system for the rich and there's a tax system for the poor. And that's so far beyond what it really is. So there is a tax system that was created for the W-2 employee, and there was a tax system that was created for the business owner. And what most people don't realize is that, and why is that? So let's break it down. So employees, they have to pay more taxes because business owners create employees. Business owners create economy. We're the ones out selling every single day. So, if we don't continue to sell, then there's no employees to employ, because there are no jobs to be taken. So when you understand that, we get massive tax deductions as business owners to continue to go out and build and create economy, to hire employees, and then someone has to pay the taxes. So the taxes trickle down to the employees. And, what I kind of give you a little bit of background about me, I've been an accountant for the last 19 years, and I've tried to do everything but accounting, because accounting is boring. Let's face it. Who wants to sit in a cubicle 50, 60, 70 hours a week during tax season and crunch numbers? I mean, that was just not me. So most of you can already tell I'm not a typical accountant. So I like to just run my mouth for a living. But that wasn't paying really well when I started out, at 20 years old. So, the one thing I've learned is that I got involved in numerous different industries. I owned retail stores. I owned a screen printing business. I owned an insurance agency and an accounting firm. And so I learned through experience. So I'm first and foremost an entrepreneur. and then I'm an accountant. And so one of the things that really hit me hard, after I lost my business, I had a really large practice of about 3,500 clients, and I sold that 10 years ago. The guy I sold it to quit paying me after 4 months. I lost everything that I owned, and I was $250,000 in debt, and I had a 5-year non-compete in the entire state of South Carolina. And so my parents actually got me involved in a network marketing company, and I fell in love with the fact that I was smart enough to realize that if you just got involved in a home-based business, you could free up $4,000 to $8,000 a year. So fast forward, I'm not in any network marketing company, just so you're aware, so you're not freaking out. But fast forward, that is what I learned throughout, is I learned that network marketing was amazing. I learned the power of networking, and I started sharing that with people. And I heard some statistics by Grant Cardone. I have not been in network marketing for, I guess it's been almost 3 years ago now, but I heard these statistics and they hit me really hard. And I want to share them with you because I love what you guys are doing. And I know Robert is chomping at the bit to ask me more questions, and I'm probably going into more detail than I should be.
Okay.
But what I want you to understand is that I heard these statistics and they changed everything for me. I literally went from, at the time, I was a fractional CFO. So I was focused on growing that part of my practice because let's face it, if I had 10 or 12 clients paying me $5,000 or $10,000 a month, then I wouldn't have to focus on smaller people. And so, these statistics, Grant Cardone came out and he said the average household income is $60,000 a year. And guys, that was before the pandemic. Okay. So the average household income, 60 grand a year. They pay $14,000 in taxes from that. And then after that, they're left with a take home of $46,000 a year. The problem with that is that the average cost of living in America, and this is where you guys come in, is that you can affect the cost of living, which no other company that I've seen can do that. And so the average cost of living in America is $53,000 a year. So the problem is that you're bringing home 46, you got 53 is the cost of living. So the average American is going in debt $7,000 a year to work 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year to take 2 weeks paid vacation. And that's when everything kind of clicked for me. And I said, you know what? I'm the only accountant that's ever been in network marketing that understands by just truly having a home-based business, you can guarantee to save yourself $4,000 to $8,000 a year. And here is where my journey has led me to, right here with you guys.
Well, I love it. So what you had mentioned is that the two tax codes is, one is the employer tax code and the other is the employee tax code.
Yes.
The employer tax code, employers pay an average of what tax percentage rate?
Employers, I mean, literally there's Amazon who's paying 0% in taxes on $11.2 billion. There is Walmart paying 0.12%. I mean, if you factor it in, I mean, I've never had to pay taxes legitimately, morally, and ethically. So there is no set number for employers, but employees are guaranteed to pay 40% of every dollar that they make in taxes.
So you're going to get an employer who generates jobs and
Yes.
creates economies that pays anywhere between 0 and say 15%.
Yes.
And they create jobs for the employee who pays 40%.
Yes.
So if you create a home-based business, is there 3 tax codes? Is there the employer, big employer like Walmart tax code, then a small home-based business tax code, and then an employee tax code?
Nope, it's the same system. So as a home-based business owner, you have the same benefits. I mean, let's just face it, Google, Amazon, and Microsoft started in their garage. They had the same tax deductions when they were in their garage building their business as they do now. Same thing. It's just most people don't know about them because they don't spend the money on tax strategy and understanding how crucial, if you add it up, taxes, you will spend more in your lifetime, the average American, in their lifetime on taxes than they will food, clothing, housing, and transportation combined.
So before we jump off this topic, which by the way, that blows my mind,
Yes.
but before we jump off this topic, you're telling me and our audience and those that are watching on replay that there's only two tax code. There's not like a third tax code for like small home-based business owners. You mean we can qualify for the same tax deductions as an Amazon or a Microsoft?
Yes. And the deal is, guys, I mean, you think about it. I had an accounting firm that I ran from my home for the last 10 years. And 6 months ago, we had to move into a location because I had 13 employees and 6 children and a husband and a dog working out of my house. It was insane, like homeschooling 6 kids. It was crazy. Y'all should have been there. I wish I had video content from it. But, the goal is for you later, the IRS, the economy wants you to go out and create big business. And so if you don't get the tax deductions along the way, it becomes very hard for you to have the extra money to put into your business and to grow your business.
So one of the things you just said that just really brings a big aha light bulb to me is you had said, because they, meaning the big business, the Amazons and so forth, because they invest in tax strategy, yes, they're able to maximize or minimize the amount of taxes that they pay. They maximize their tax advantages to minimize the amount of legal taxes that they pay because they invest in tax strategy.
Yes. Yes. And the only thing, and most people don't understand that. So they wait until January through April and have a conversation with their accountant and have never had a conversation with them the year before when we could actually help them. That would be like going to a doctor when you have cancer already. Had you gone before and maybe taken the health products that you needed to along the way, then you wouldn't be in this situation. That's the same thing I see every single day with people in the business world. I mean, business owners, 96% of business owners overpay in taxes because they have no clue how to take advantage of the sheer deductions. They're not taking advantage of the actual deductions that they're entitled to take. And then if you have that strategy, like now, it's 2020. So we should be talking in 2020 about what you should do in order to save money in 2020. If you wait until 2021, the only thing I can do for you is help you figure out what you could write off and make sure you're tracking those expenses.
Right. Or you have to go through the process of amending, and then you have to charge them for 2 years, the next year plus the previous year, you charge for the year that you're amending, correct? Yes. So I just want everybody to understand that Courtney is a tax strategist. She is someone that small and big business, your largest client is $120 million a year in revenue?
Yes.
So you're dealing with big business as well as small entrepreneurs that all qualify for the same tax code. Just so everybody that's listening, Courtney is a tax strategist. That's what she does to strategize and saves the average client, the average small business, home-based business client, how much per year? Between what?
So, I mean, just by having a home-based business is $4,000 to $8,000 a year. But, when we do these tax strategy sessions, and I do them about every 30 minutes all day long, we're finding between $5,000 and $50,000 that people are overpaying in taxes.
See, and if you're overpaying, then that's money that's yours that just out of sheer ignorance, and I don't mean that rudely, but out of sheer lack of knowledge, you're giving more of your money to the government than you are required to. And this is what Courtney does. This is why we partnered with her, because everybody that's participating in Viv is in the actual pursuit of building a business, in the pursuit of making money. So Courtney, does somebody have to make $20,000 a year in order to merit a tax strategist? I mean, when would they call you?
I mean, the biggest thing, guys, is to understand, you don't even have to make money in the home-based business realm or as a business. You're entitled to take deductions on things that you're already spending money on. So, you literally, if you pay taxes and you're not receiving, I would say, I guess you're not maxing out earned income credit and child tax credit. If you're paying into the government, if you're a W-2 employee, I mean, I have clients that make $1 million that are W-2 employees, and they're like, Courtney, what can I do? And I'm like, you got two options. You can start a business, you can buy some real estate and put yourself into massive debt. And then there's something called a conservation easement. And they're looking at me like I have three heads. I'm like, there are no tax deductions for W-2 employees. You don't have anything that you can take advantage of. But as a business owner, there are such crucial deductions that you can take advantage of. And when you understand there's a massive sweet spot between, the income that you receive from your business, and then you have, if you do have kids, the child tax credit, earned income credit, that you could massively, benefit, 10, 20, 30. I mean, we've seen the most I think we found on one tax return is $77,000 that someone's overpaid.
See, so we had a question in the comments that in the question and answer section that said, is it legal and or ethical for a company that's making billions of dollars to pay zero in taxes?
Yes, because you wouldn't have jobs. So I don't know how it's legally, morally, and ethically okay for me to pay nothing in taxes when I'm creating economy. So, if I'm buying equipment to grow my business, if I am creating jobs, and here's the thing, guys, is we as business owners, we go out on a limb. We're the ones that's taking all of the hopes and dreams and hope that we make it. I mean, to me, yes, it is very ethical that that big businesses, they get massive tax deductions to create jobs and create security, which is what W-2 employees want. And in essence, someone does have to pay the taxes, so it trickles down, but they're paying for all the other things. They're paying for research and development. They're paying for shipping. They're paying for cost of goods sold. They're paying for all the other things that employees are not paying for. So yeah, I mean, if you didn't have big business and they didn't get massive tax deductions, then you would have nothing. I mean, you literally wouldn't. And what Amazon did is they replaced UPS. And so they went and bought hundreds, probably thousands of vehicles. And because the way the vehicle depreciation works is that you can buy a vehicle over 6,000 gross vehicle weight, and you get 100% deduction on that vehicle the minute you buy it. So me and my husband bought a $65,000 Suburban last October, and the day we bought it, although we didn't pay a down payment on it, it was a $65,000 tax deduction. So that saved me $20,000 in taxes. Do I think that's legitimate morally and ethically? Yes, I do, because I'm growing my business.
Right. Awesome. So how does somebody who's just starting out, how do they know what type of business to set up? Do you help them? Do you have a service that helps them structure themselves so that they can take advantage of tax deductions that they wouldn't otherwise do or otherwise be able to?
We do. And as far as setting up a structure, you don't need a structure at all to start taking advantage of tax deductions, especially if you're in the network marketing space. So that's one of the great benefits, that you don't have to set up your own website. You don't have to do the marketing materials. You don't have to create the advertising. You don't have to do all these other things that I had to do from scratch in order to grow my business. And the other thing is, you don't have to have the education. I mean, it took me 5 years to go to school, and then it took me, 18, 19 years to get to a point where I'm at today through just trial and error. So, one of the biggest things I'll tell you as far as deductions that you're entitled to take, most people think they have to spend a ton of money in order to start a business. But clearly, when you're in the home-based business space, you're able to redirect your living expenses and turn those into business expenses. So it doesn't necessarily cost you a ton of money to get started. The only thing that you need to do is attempt to earn an income. And so that just means that you're opening your mouth, you're sharing with people what you're doing. You may be horrible at it. It could be that you hand out flyers, in a parking lot. It'd be hard to find a parking lot with people in it today, but I mean, you can do just about anything. You can reach out to people on social media. You can call them on the phone. Hey, that's a novel idea. People actually calling people nowadays. You can text them, but all you have to do is the sheer attempt to earn an income. and now you're entitled to all of these tax deductions that you would not have had. And so as you continue to grow, when you start making more money, like I tell people, once you hit $1,000 a month in gross income, meaning that that's before any expenses come out, you need to go ahead and be an LLC. And the reason why is because the LLC limits your liability, but it allows you to do something that's very, very important. And when you have an LLC, you can either treat that LLC as an S corporation for tax purposes, which is just a Schedule C on your personal tax return. So you would claim all of the expenses the same way, and then you would pay taxes on it. So you have to pay, and here's the one thing I want people to understand. So if I make $100,000 a year as a W-2 employee, I have to pay taxes on that entire $100,000. But as a business owner, if I make the same $100,000 and I had $50,000 worth of expenses, then now I'm paying taxes on 50, but I'm not really paying taxes necessarily on 50 because there's another thing that allows you to deduct 20% of that. You don't have to pay taxes on. So now I'm down to 40. So
30.
I would then pay taxes, self-employment taxes, federal and state taxes on that money. Now, when you have an LLC and you treat that as something called an S corporation, it's a separate tax return. It allows you to save even more money. So it allows you to bypass about 80% of your self-employment taxes. So, you know, you don't have to have a structure in order to start taking deductions. You just have to have the sheer attempt to earn an income. And then as you continue making more and more money, then we properly structure you. And yes, we will educate you. I am not going to tell you or anyone you ever refer to us to do anything to cost them money unless it's going to massively benefit them.
Awesome. So is there any particular, you know, in this down economy, in this world that we're in, you know, what do you suggest people do right now to start taking advantage of the deductions or the value that's out there that's available to them? What should they do right now in order to start to benefit from that?
Well, one of the things that I will let you guys know is the system was broken beforehand. And I don't know how many of you realize this, but before the pandemic, 46% of Americans didn't have an extra $400 to their name. And 69% of Americans didn't have an extra $1,000 to their name. And why that's so crucial today, especially for you guys, is that you have the ability to change somebody's life through not only freeing up money on their bills, which is what I consider their cost of living, but you can also help them, give them hope that they can free up $4,000 to $8,000 a year by having a home-based business. And needless to say, if they already own a business, I can tell you hand over fist, they're always typically overpaying in taxes, only because there's not a whole lot of people that are in my situation. There's not a lot of people that understand, and I'm not saying they don't necessarily understand the tax code. What most accountants get paid for is to prepare your tax return. And so taking time to explain and educate to someone what you're doing and why you're doing it and what they should be doing is very time consuming. And, you know, I notice it every time I'll post a live and I want to educate people so much, and then 100 people will reach out to me. Well, I don't benefit from that. Like, I don't make money off of those people. And, you know, typically accountants make money off of a tax return that's prepared. So, you know, it's just the system. You know, I'd like to hope that that's the situation, because what I'm seeing is, to me, it's gross negligence. I see people overpaying massively in taxes because their accountant is not notifying them, because their accountant is scaring them into believing that they can't take certain tax deductions, that it's just not correct. And guys, I'll tell you, you know, if some of you are here and you're worried about being audited, or somebody's told you, you know, if you have a home-based business, you're more likely to be audited. In 19 years, I've never had a client audited for business use your home. I've actually only ever had one client audited, and that was by the state. And we ended up winning that audit. It was a hairdresser. And so, you know, what I want you to understand is that there's a lot of myths out there that keep people broke. And, you know, the biggest thing I can tell you is that there are books, there are other CPAs, there are other tax attorneys who are saying exactly what I'm saying, that having a home-based business, you would be brain dead not to own a home-based business if you don't already have one. You know, and right now, what I'm seeing with, you know, today they just shut down South Carolina. You can go to work or home. Well, the problem is yes, you can go to work or home. What does that do to the businesses who need people to walk in their doors in order to generate an income? The clients that I have, I would say 50% of our clients are network marketers, and they're not calling me upset about how in the world they're going to make it, about how they're going to pay their bills. They're calling, telling me their business is skyrocketing. They're helping people. They're changing the world. You know, but I've got my brick and mortar clients who are freaking out, and they don't know how to pay rent and utilities and payroll, and, you know, their world is turning upside down. And then you have W-2 employees who, you know, I don't even know what the number is anymore. I don't watch the news for a reason, but you have millions and millions of people who are out of jobs and they don't even know what to do. And so you have I would say a mission, a responsibility to share with people what you're doing to help them, you know, whether they see it or not as a way to help them, that's completely on them. But what I want to share with you is that when you send someone to us, you know, we're partners, right? So you get a percentage back on that. And I don't know how all that works. I'm sure Robert can teach you all about the comp plan. I'm more interested in sharing with you what we're going to do for people. We're going to find them money. That's the only goal. That's the only reason why I am an accountant. I hate doing accounting, but I love finding money for people. I love picking up the phone and calling people and saying, hey, we just found you $5, $10, $20, $30,000. That changes people's life, and you can impact people massively that way.
So speaking of that really quickly, you've done quite a bit, not just for Viv Pro Consultants, which your services, your tax strategy service is free for a pro consultant. And then we charge $99 for the tax strategy session for our customers that the consultant would bring to the service. Do you have any off the top of your head? Do you have any statistics about how much money you have helped save some of our clients?
So I know I wrote down a couple, $13,900, $21,890. We had a client that was over $31,000 for 2 years. We had another client that was $18,000 for 3 years that we went back. I mean, so, and the list goes on and on. Those are the ones I wrote down.
So wait a second. You're telling me that somebody from Viv came to you and said, Courtney, I would like to use your tax strategy session. I'm a pro consultant, so here's my ID number. You cross-reference with our database and you verify that they're a pro, and then you'll do their tax strategy session. And you're telling me that you found some of our pro members tens of thousands of dollars that they had already spent?
Yes, and I would say every one of those clients, just because those hit me off the top of the head, they were not structured properly. We didn't even go back and look for more expenses. They were treated as a partnership or a sole proprietorship, and they were an LLC. And because they had an LLC back in 2017, we could actually go backwards and treat that LLC as an S corporation for tax purposes. And that's exactly what we did. So all I did was create a corporate return and then show that the income and expenses were there and flow that back into their personal tax return. And that's how much we saved those 4 people.
So that's that. I mean, what a huge blessing, especially at this time right now. I mean, to be able to go back and recoup some money that someone had, I mean, that fits really core with who we are as a company. I mean, our goal is to help people lower their monthly expenses. Well, you go in and you help them lower their tax obligation.
Yes. Yeah. And moving forward, I mean, that's going to save them $10,000 or $15,000 a year moving forward. And all we did was we literally filled out 4 sheets of paper that their accountant could have filled out for them and filed a return. Instead of filing a corporate return, filing a partnership return, filing a corporate return.
So why is it that all we trust our accountants, right? They've gone to school, so we go to our accountants and we say, okay, here, I need to file my taxes, and they charge us $1,300 or $1,500 to file our taxes. And when they file, like, I have multiple corporations, multiple different entities, right, for different purposes. And I have to file taxes on all of those in order to keep those up and running. And so I get charged for each of those entities. Mm-hmm. And we can't just trust our accountant, trust our tax guy, our tax gal to treat us right or to take care of us. Why are they not? I think you said it earlier.
Yes.
We're paying them to file our taxes. We're not paying them to do a forensic,
right,
audit on our taxes and our expenses. And that's what makes you different.
Well, and I'll tell you, I hired a CPA to work for me, and 18 years experience. I hired her last year, and out of the 25 tax returns that she did for me, I had to go back and fix every one of them. See, accountants are really good at doing whatever was done last year. And I will tell you, when I was 19 years old, I was working full-time at an accounting practice, the largest accounting practice in my region. And I was still going to college, and I was preparing tax returns for $50 million companies. And my partner, who was in charge, so I was literally doing the data entry, I was doing the reconciliations, I was preparing the return, and I would give it to my partner, and he would review it for about 30 minutes. And so to this day, I review every tax return that walks out of my door. If not once, I may review it 3 times, because if we end up doing the bookkeeping, the bookkeepers don't necessarily comprehend taxes. And that's what you've got to understand. If you may have a great bookkeeper who can make sure that your money's in your bank account and that she's paying your bills and invoicing your invoices and making sure people are paying you, but that doesn't mean that she understands in any way taxes. And so what we tend to find is that the bookkeeping's always wrong. So, and if you're keeping track of your own books, it's probably not the best idea, but I'm not going to say stop doing that. It's not something that we make a ton of money, off of. It's something that we find a ton of money for to save you money. And so that's the biggest thing, is that we see the bookkeeping. And if the accountant's not doing the bookkeeping, they're not responsible for your profit and loss statement, your balance sheet being correct, nor do they care. So most of the time, I think the problem is that you have a W-2 employee who's getting paid hourly, or maybe getting paid commission, and their job is just to do as many tax returns as fast as they possibly can. And they're always going to run into errors. And, we pick up the phone and call our clients and say, hey, you're missing telephone. Hey, you're missing, what about your interest on your credit cards? What about your legal and professional? How much you paid to have your taxes done last year? What about all these expenses that they're missing? And most of the time there is no time, and, people aren't focused on that. So they're just on how fast can we do it? How quickly can we get it in and out the door? And if you don't understand the deductions, you're not going to get the benefit. And that's just the way they feel about it. And you sign a statement, when you get your tax return done this year, look up your engagement letter. Every client, every accounting firm has one, and every client has to sign it. And it says, we used your information to prepare your tax return. And if it's incorrect, it's your problem. It's not ours. So, I just think it's because they're so crunched for time that they're not fully reviewing it and making sure, and they just expect you to know what you're doing and to send them the information, and they're just preparing that return.
Well, my friend, that is just crazy. There cannot be a disconnect on something as important as the flow through from the revenue you're generating or attempting to generate to the write-offs that you're entitled to the preparation of your taxes. So are you a one-stop shop? Do you do all of that for someone who would qualify or would need those services?
We do everything. And only out of necessity. So we in January pushed off our payroll to a payroll company. But we work, we literally work with them all day long, every day with our clients. So it's not small, but they have about 20 employees up in New Jersey, and it's a great friend of mine. And so everything else, we do the bookkeeping, we do the strategy. You know, I typically am the one, especially higher level, if it's over $100,000 a year in income, I'm the one that's actually having the conversations with the clients and helping them structure things. But I'll tell you this, I mean, even in my practice, if the bookkeepers were not right beside the tax preparers, the clients would overpay in taxes, because the bookkeepers, it's like it's a different world. They just don't comprehend it. So we're constantly working with them all day long to say, hey, what about this? Hey, what about this? Hey, we need to make sure this is correct. And so they're hunting down expenses for clients, because clients don't realize if you're spending money on one credit card, 10 credit cards, you know, you need to be tracking all of those expenses. So yeah, we do everything in-house, and it's super crazy. It's we've grown literally from 2 employees to 17 since September.
Well, all your success is very merited, my friend. You are you're a lovely soul. I would like you to share briefly as we wrap up, what are some of your kind of your heart, what pulls on your heart? I know there's 2 things you support. Yeah. As a company and as a person, you support them. Why don't you take the next minute and share a little bit about the heart of your company?
You know, guys, I love freeing up money, but gosh, we started April 16th of 2018, and we started, for every dollar that we bring in our accounting practice, we feed a serving of whole food, plant-based nutrition to children in need through a company called Manna Relief. And we're not providing them, we're providing them nourishment. So we're not actually giving them synthetic food. It's the only nonprofit in the world that provides non-synthetics. So in this day and age, that is a huge deal. Malnutrition is literally the #1 cause of disease, death, and disability in the world. And so when you give us a dollar, we are feeding a serving of food. And we've been able to impact 1.8 million servings of food to children in need. We're currently, every day, we're feeding 8,000 children a day, which is much bigger than freeing up money, but I have to continue freeing up money for people in order to feed more children. And then on top of that, about every 3 days, because we do it for every 25,000 that comes in, and there's a sheer model in this. So because I give the way that I give, that is 100% tax deductible as a business expense through a cost of goods sold item. So huge, it's very important the way that we give. But for every $25,000 that we bring in, we literally free a child from sex trafficking through a company called Operation Underground Railroad. And just this week, I was able to put the 2 together. So we are feeding children in 26 countries where children are being sexually exploited through Operation Underground Railroad. And I've connected the founder of Manna Relief and the founder of Operation Underground Railroad, and we're feeding all their kids. And so, you know, it is a huge passion of mine. I know you guys do a lot of giving back, and, you know, I love being a part of that, because that's what keeps me going. That's why I keep working so much. That's why I keep taking on more clients and freeing up more money, is because we have to end sex exploitation. We have to eradicate childhood malnutrition. And it is our duty to help give people the knowledge and the education of freeing up money for them, because right now in this day and age, it has never been more important for you to share your business opportunity, for you to share what you're doing and freeing up money for people, and for them just to give them hope that life can be better. So, you know, I appreciate you letting me share that. I was going to share that regardless. You know that. I had it literally, it was on my sticky. We were going to talk about that, giving back.
Well, I'm proud of you. I'm proud to be your friend. I'm proud to be in business with you. I'm really grateful that our services have really started to pick up with selling your services through our platform. We've added you to our app called Outreach. So now someone can just send your video. I edited your little video that we did at Summit and got it all ready. So it literally can just go out and tracks right back to the consultant. So somebody wants to use your services right now as a pro member. What website would they go to book their tax strategy session with you?
Isn't it Viv Pro Consult?
Yep.
Hold on a second.
Just Viv Pro.
VivPro.youcanbook.me. So VivPro.youcanbook.me.
And that's where they would go to get a free tax strategy session if they are, in fact, a pro member, a pro consultant.
That's right.
If they are selling that service, your tax strategy service for $99, they would then go to where?
Is it taxstrategy.youcanbook.me is what it is. Yes.
You got it. Taxstrategy.youcanbook.me to have one of your clients who want to get a tax strategy session where Courtney will save an average of $4,000 to $8,000 for her clients through that $99 tax strategy session. So who wouldn't invest $99 to save $4,000 to $8,000?
A year.
The economics are there. It's a no-brainer.
And that's a year. I mean, that's the crazy thing. It's a year. It's not like 1 year. We're talking about every year. They take the information and we send them a deduction spreadsheet. And I don't know if that's something you want to give out to the Viv consultants, but we give them a deduction spreadsheet and help them understand what they can write off on their taxes and how big of a deal it is. Because most people don't comprehend, like they think it's just, I can write off what I spent to get into the company, or I can write off, what my business, what I feel like
I
I've
shoot that over to me. Let's we'll get that published and put out.
Wonderful.
Just so people have some education.
Got it.
But you know what? I just thank you so much for all you're doing, not just for our clients and our consultants and their clients, but for what you do for feeding children, what you're doing for freeing children from sex trafficking. You've got a special place in heaven that's reserved for you, my friend.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys.
All right, my friends. Have a great week. Courtney, we'll talk to you later. We've got a couple calls set up in the next couple days. So
wonderful. Thank
See
you.
you later.
I'll send that message to you right now with the deduction spreadsheet.
Thank you. And I'll get it out to everybody.
Okay.
Next week, join me for In the Know. I have got the fearless networker himself, Mr. Todd Falcone, who is going to be my special guest, talking specifically about, he is going to be talking about selling to pros. So he's going to talk about recruiting up, not selling to pros, recruiting pros. So he's going to talk about recruiting your people on your chicken list and how to bring professionals into your business. So that's next week on the In the Know with the fearless networker himself, Mr. Todd Falcone. All right, my friends, have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Be well. Ciao.